The system at peace. The Jator system prided itself on order. From the orbiting citadel above the gas giant Ectorus, fleets of the Alliance patrolled every entry corridor. Ships entering were logged, their cargo scanned, their registry cross-checked 3 times against the Bureau of Stellar Traffic. In 3 centuries of unbroken enforcement, not one vessel had slipped through undetected. To the Jator High Command, this was proof of civilization itself. Chaos belonged to the frontier. Order belonged here. Commander Varek leaned back in his control chair, mandibles flexing with satisfaction as he read the daily reports. Every convoy had checked in on time. Every merchant vessel had paid its tariffs. The system was running with the precision of a well-oiled machine. Another flawless cycle, his aide chirped. Sir, shall I mark the efficiency report?
Yes.
The council will be pleased. The Citadel's great hall was a place of hushed confidence, its officers clad in immaculate silver armor. They believed themselves guardians not merely of a system, but of the very principle of order. Rumors of skirmishes at the rim, whispers of pirate activity in the outer spiral, such things were dismissed with disdain. Nothing like that could ever happen here. And then it did. The first alert was subtle, a faint blip on long-range gravimetric sensors. A fluctuation, like a ripple on a calm lake. The technician monitoring the screen frowned, adjusting filters. Strange to registering a mass insertion. But there's no scheduled jump. Commander Varek turned lazily. Check again. Likely a sensor ghost. The blip resolved itself. Not a ghost.
A ship.
Every screen in the control chamber lit up with red warnings. Incoming vector, unscheduled. Registry code, none. Identification, unknown. Impossible, Varek snapped. Every vessel is cleared days in advance. What ship is this? None, sir, the technician whispered. It has no registration file. Around the hall, officers froze. For the first time in living memory, a vessel had entered Jator without authorization. The image sharpened as scanners resolved the intruder. At first, the officers thought the system had misclassified it. The silhouette was angular, brutal, bristling with weapon hardpoints. The hull plating shimmered with an alloy the computers struggled to analyze.
And it was large.
Larger than any merchant cruiser, nearly rivaling a battleship. Transmit the hail, Varek ordered, voice tight. Signals lanced across space. Demands, inquiries, the official challenge of the Alliance. Silence answered them. The ship drifted forward at steady speed, no running lights, no registry beacon, no acknowledgement of authority. Could it be pirates? An officer suggested. A composite hull, cobbled together from salvage? Pirates do not field warships of this size, Varek growled. Then the database pinged with a tentative match. The computer highlighted fragments of design. Engine housings, turret mounts, armor geometry. Not alien. Not pirate. Familiar in a way that sent a chill down every spine.
Human.
The word passed in hushed disbelief. Humans? The newcomers, the primitives from the fringe? They had no official fleets. Their vessels were registered only for trade and exploration. What could possibly explain a human warship in the heart of Alliance space? Sir, the aide stammered. Orders? Varek's mind raced. Protocol demanded escalation, surround, immobilize, compel surrender. But protocol had never imagined this. An unregistered human warship was not merely a violation of law. It was a paradox. Across the chamber, more data streamed in. Energy readings fluctuated oddly, weapons signatures inconsistent, as though the vessel were half alive, half broken. Yet the power beneath that broken exterior was undeniable. One ship, alone, unannounced. And still it came. Raise system defense condition to red, Varek commanded at last. His voice echoed like a death knell through the hall. Klaxons wailed. Fleet squadrons shifted formation, falling into intercept vectors. Civilian traffic was ordered to halt. Across the system, planet-side broadcasts interrupted with the words no citizen of Jator had ever heard in their lifetime. Unregistered vessel incursion. System at risk. The unthinkable had happened. On the edge of their perfect order, chaos had arrived, flying a human flag. And it did not stop. The ship that shouldn't exist. Panic traveled faster than light. By the time the human vessel crossed the midpoint between the outer gas giant and the inner trade lanes, every major channel in the Jator system was ablaze with speculation. Civilian merchants diverted course. Freight captains abandoned their docking queues and powered for safe orbits. The system, once a model of tranquility, now buzzed with fear. In the command chamber of the orbital citadel, Commander Varek stood rigid, mandibles tight. The unregistered ship remained silent, advancing with steady precision. The fleet had taken up intercept positions, 10 destroyers forming a crescent to block the intruder's path. Yet none dared close the distance fully. Status. Varek barked. Still no response to hails, sir. The comms officer replied. Translation matrices engaged, but the vessel transmits nothing. Its beacon is dead. Scans. The sensor technician hesitated. Hull composition inconsistent. Sections resemble human alloys, titanium composites, carbon laminates. But other sections unknown. The computers cannot classify them. Energy signatures fluctuate between human plasma reactors and something far more advanced. Varek's eyes narrowed. Impossible. Humans cannot manufacture warships of this scale. Not without the Alliance knowing. That was the problem. The Alliance always knew. Every race registered their fleets, logged every engine schematic, documented every armament. It was not merely law, it was surveillance masquerading as bureaucracy. Nothing escaped the catalogs. And yet here was a ship that did not belong. A murmur rippled across the chamber as the database finished cross-referencing known vessels. A match appeared, not perfect, but undeniable. Engine housings. Weapon mounts. Human. Confirm again. Varek snapped, though he already believed. Yes, Commander. By design markers, 90% certainty. The intruder is of human manufacture. The silence that followed was suffocating. For centuries, humans had been regarded as stubborn but limited. They had fought fiercely in border disputes, yes, but always with outdated ships, purchase tech, or retrofitted freighters. Their official fleets consisted of modest escorts, suited for defense, not expansion. A warship of this scale was not only outside their capacity, it was outside their imagination. What are the humans playing at? Muttered Subcommander Trebek. This must be a smuggler's trick. A hollow shell, painted to look intimidating. Varek shook his head. No smuggler could fake these energy readings. This ship, it is real. The aides exchanged uneasy glances. If it was real, then the Alliance had failed. Failed to monitor, failed to control, failed to anticipate. The implications were staggering. Perhaps it is not theirs. Another officer offered desperately. Perhaps they stumbled across it. Salvage. A relic of some other power, crewed by humans. Then why does it respond to no one? Varek countered. Why does it fly silent into our system, ignoring every law, every demand? No one answered. Meanwhile, on the outer rim of the system, the fleet destroyers edged closer. One captain, nerves fraying, opened a direct channel. Unregistered vessel, this is Alliance Patrol Squadron Theta. You are violating secured space. Power down and prepare to be boarded. Failure to comply will be met with force. The words echoed through the citadel as well. Officers leaned in, breathless. The human ship did not fire, did not alter course, did not acknowledge. Instead, something stranger occurred. The vessel released a tight beam transmission, not words, not standard code, but a file packet. Encrypted in human format. Decode it, Varek ordered. The technicians worked frantically. Lines of data unfurled, converting into images. Then the main display filled with video. At first, officers assumed it was a simulation. Starfields burned. Fleets clashed in wild, desperate formation. Human ships, smaller than the one now before them, fought against things. Shapes half-glimpsed, jagged and shifting, their forms blurred by unnatural distortion. The feed showed human warships breaking apart, Earth stations burning, planetary defenses falling. A voiceover in human language cut through the carnage. The translation matrix struggled, but spat out the words. "We came here because they are coming." The chamber went still. The recording ended abruptly, leaving only the silent warship adrift on their screens. Officers looked to Varek for guidance. He had no answer. His instincts, honed by decades of service, screamed that this was not posturing. This was warning. But a warning of what? The comms officer's voice cracked. "Commander, what are your orders?" Varek's mandibles clicked softly. He could not tell them the truth, that he no longer trusted the Alliance's certainties. That the humans, the so-called primitives, might have stumbled onto something greater and darker than any of them could comprehend. Instead, he gave the only order that preserved his dignity. Hold positions. Watch the ship. And pray that what it flees from does not follow. When the warship spoke, the warship hung in silence, a shadow at the edge of Jator's ordered skies. For 3 cycles, it drifted without deviation, ignoring hails, ignoring the fleets that surrounded it. Its single transmission, the footage of fire and ruin, played across every secure channel in the system. Alliance citizens whispered of nightmares in crowded shelters. Merchants halted trade. Even the politicians, usually so arrogant, spoke in hushed tones. For the first time in centuries, the Alliance did not know what to do. Commander Varek stood before the great display, watching the human ship as if it might leap forward at any moment. His officers waited for clarity, but he could offer none. The words still echoed in his mind. "We came here because they are coming." Who were they? The council demanded answers. Varek was summoned to transmit his assessment. On the vast holoscreen of the council chamber, dozens of alien faces regarded him with suspicion. "Commander," intoned Chancellor Arlek, his voice dripping disdain, "explain how a primitive race acquired a warship capable of destabilizing an entire system." Varek chose his words carefully. "The evidence suggests the ship is indeed of human origin, though modified with its unfamiliar technology. Its silence, combined with the transmission, indicates it is not here for conquest. It is fleeing." The councillors erupted in argument. Some scoffed at the notion of humans defeating anything powerful enough to threaten the Alliance. Others whispered that the footage was real, that an enemy existed beyond their borders, one they had never catalogued. "Fear-mongering," Chancellor Arlek declared. "The humans fabricated this. A crude attempt to manipulate us." "Fabrication?" Varek asked bitterly. "Then how do you explain the vessel itself? Its alloy compositions? Its weapon hardpoints? Fabrication does not generate mass." Arlek's eyes narrowed. "Perhaps you are overawed by their theatrics, Commander." The transmission ended. Varek returned to the Citadel with disgust in his chest. The council would debate endlessly while the truth loomed before them, silent and undeniable. That truth broke its silence only hours later. The warship stirred. Systems lit across its hull, faint pulses like the awakening of a beast. Weapons powered, not at full, but enough that every destroyer's targeting sensors screamed alarm. Fleet channels filled with frantic chatter. Then at last a voice emerged. Not alien. Not synthetic. Human. "This is Captain Elias Cade, commanding officer of the vessel Last Horizon." The words were simple, but the tone carried the weight of exhaustion and steel. Every bridge, every station, every citizen tuned in to hear. "This ship is unregistered because there is no authority left to register it. Earth is gone." The declaration fell like a hammer. Officers froze. Civilians wept in confusion. Earth, the human cradle world, destroyed? No one believed. Yet the conviction in the man's voice shattered denial. Cade continued. "We fought as long as we could. What you saw in the transmission was not fabrication. It was the end. The enemy came from beyond mapped space, beyond your charts and comforts. They are relentless. They are coming still." Images accompanied his words. Fleets torn apart, continents burning, humans fighting to the last breath. "We fled not to bring war to you. but to warn you. We are alone, but we will not beg. If you turn us away, we will fight on until nothing remains. But when they come, and they will come, remember who stood first." The channel went dark. The silence that followed was heavier than any explosion. Officers exchanged wide-eyed stares. Some whispered of alliance. Others demanded the ship's immediate destruction. Better to burn it now than risk drawing its pursuers. Varek remained silent. He stared at the warship and thought of the captain's voice. Not defiant, not pleading, simply certain. On the fleet perimeter, destroyer captains reported their own unease. One admitted he could not bring himself to fire on the last horizon. Another confessed that when the captain spoke, he believed him. The council, predictably, fractured. Hardliners demanded annihilation of the vessel. Moderates argued for internment. A few brave voices whispered of alliance. But all arguments ended when the humans demonstrated their truth. Without warning, the last horizon powered a single spinal weapon. Energy condensed into a lance of darkness, invisible save for the stars that winked out in its path. An asteroid moon, uninhabited, yet massive, split in two, its halves drifting apart like cleaved fruit. Not an attack, a demonstration. The message was clear. Humanity had not fabricated anything. They had forged weapons from desperation, weapons no one in the Alliance could match. And if such weapons were needed, then the threat they warned of was real. Commander Varek's mandibles clicked as he whispered to himself. This is no rogue vessel. This is the last cry of a fallen species. The deadliest decision. The last horizon hovered like a specter, its dark hull gleaming with fractured light from the system star. Around it, the Alliance fleet held position, weapons primed but fingers hesitant on triggers. Every officer knew that a single misstep could ignite a battle none of them were certain they could win. In the Citadel, Commander Varek stood before his officers, posture rigid. The Council's latest transmission scrolled across the holo display. Neutralize the human vessel at once. Order must be restored. Varek's mandibles clicked. The Council had not seen the weapon demonstration with their own eyes. They had not felt the hum of the dark matter lance cutting through an asteroid like silk. They sat in their palaces, safe behind layers of bureaucracy, clinging to the illusion that the Alliance's order was eternal. But Varek had seen, and he was no longer sure. "Sir," Subcommander Travak said, voice strained, "Theta Squadron requests permission to engage. They say hesitation will embolden the humans." "Embolden?" Varek muttered. His eyes locked on the warship. "That vessel is not emboldened. It is surviving." As if to confirm his thought, the comms officer cried, "Incoming transmission from the human ship. Broad spectrum. They want everyone to hear this." The chamber hushed. The screen filled with the worn face of Captain Elias Cade. His uniform was scorched, his eyes shadowed, yet his voice carried the calm of a man who had faced the abyss and refused to yield. "To the people of this system," he began, "we do not come as conquerors. We come as the last embers of a world consumed." Across the system, millions listened, soldiers on destroyer bridges, civilians in shelters, even counselors in their hidden chambers. "We may be unregistered. We may be unwanted, but we are not broken. If you accept us, we will stand with you when the darkness comes. If you turn us away, we will still fight, even if it is only one ship against eternity. But remember this, when they arrive, and they will, your order will not protect you. Only defiance will." The channel cut, leaving silence heavier than any explosion. For a long moment no one spoke. Then Travak whispered, "He believes every word." "Belief is not proof," another officer snapped, though his voice trembled. Proof came moments later. Theta Squadron, eager to impress the Council, launched a salvo of guided missiles. Dozens of streaking lights carved the void, converging on the human vessel. The last horizon came alive. Point defense arrays blazed, swatting missiles from the sky in bursts of fire. Countermeasures spiraled, hacking guidance systems mid-flight, sending weapons spiraling harmlessly into space. Within seconds, The entire volley was gone. The warship had not fired back. But the lesson was clear. One human ship had neutralized an entire Alliance squadron's opening strike. Shock rippled across the fleet. Commanders hesitated. Crews faltered. The aura of invincibility that cloaked the Alliance shattered. In the council chambers, panic broke into open argument. Some screamed for escalation. Others, now trembling, called for negotiation. And in the Citadel, Varek made his choice. "Transmit to all ships," he ordered. "Stand down. Do not engage further." "Sir?" Travak's eyes widened. "You heard me. That ship is not our enemy. Not today." The aide hesitated, then saluted. Orders spread like wildfire. Destroyers pulled back, their formations loosening, their weapons dimming. For the first time since its arrival, the last horizon floated in space unthreatened. A single message followed, short and simple. The human warship broadcast its name. Vessel designation, Last Horizon. The words echoed across the system. Not a threat, not a boast. A gravestone carved in orbit. Varek stood in silence, staring at the display. He felt the weight of history pressing down. The Alliance had been built on the belief that nothing could surprise them, nothing could threaten their order. Yet here was proof: a lone human ship, scarred and unregistered, carried the future of the galaxy in its shadow. When the Council transmitted again, demanding explanation, Varek answered with the truth he now understood. "This vessel is not a trespasser," he said coldly. "It is a warning. Beyond the horizon, the enemy waits. If we do not listen, then Jator will fall as Earth has fallen." He cut the channel before they could reply. For the first time in his long service, Commander Varek no longer served order. He served survival. And survival, he realized, might depend on the humans.